My name is Monique Dowdy. I go by Instagram. I am Nurse Mo. I am a retired critical care ICU nurse who specialized in neurosurgical patients. And now I'm a digital entrepreneur, a global entrepreneur, focusing on motivational speaking, travel, hosting, career coaching, and digital products.
All right. So how long have you been a nurse?
I've been a nurse for 8 years.
Okay. So at what point in your nursing career did you decide, hey, bedside might not be exactly what I want to do?
Okay, so when I was 29 years old, I took a break for an extended period of time from travel nursing. Like, you know, when you travel nurse for a while, you can take time off for like a month or something like that. And I took a month off and I went to Europe, I went all over the world, and I had a really good time, and I developed some freedom with my schedule. I had my own nursing brand and some sort of an income, but I had about 7 weeks off of work, and I went back to an assignment, and someone asked me to do a care plan at 4 o'clock in the morning, and I was like, you know, can I curse?
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, fuck this, and I remember telling the charge nurse to go take care of my patients or do my care plan. And at that point, I knew it was time for me to probably leave the bedside soon. I love patient care a lot. Like, I really love patient care, but I just don't like the politics that go into patient care. So, yeah.
Let's go a little bit further into that. What would you say are the major obstacles in bedside that really push people out of it?
I would say number one would be the paperwork. And I would say the micromanaging is quite challenging because you're dealing with, especially in the critical care setting, you're dealing with highly educated people that really are compassionate and really care about other people. That's why they're doing this job where they have to clean up poop and get spit at and whatever, because we really love the work we do. So to have to ask them about minute details for things, which I understand everyone's just doing their job, it can be really challenging and quite annoying. And I think another issue is just that, I went to Google office the other day. I spoke there, dope, right? But they had these quiet rooms set up for their staff. They had food set up for their staff that was free everywhere, And literally they're just sitting at a computer all day.
Yeah.
But we're literally taking care of other people's lives in our hand. And we have a dirty break room that's not quite therapeutic for us. We have 30 minutes to eat our food. Often if you're lucky, you work at a good institution, you'll have an hour. But I think that we're just not valued as nurses, and sometimes that can be quite frustrating. The lollipop I get from my patient, or the flowers, or the coffee that I get from my patient's family is really quite great, and I love those kind of things, but often I don't feel that the administration, values what we do, and it shows in our accommodations.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And I think there's a little bit of a myth to the idea of hospitals can't afford to do X, Y, Z.
No, they get billions of dollars every year for things. They get lots of money to rebuild things, and I think that technology in medicine is very important, but so is retainment. And I think that we're in a generation that's very disruptive because we have so much access to media and internet and knowledge that isn't typical what you have to go back to school for. And I think that they're eventually going to have to shift in healthcare, because nurses are going to find that there's other ways that they can make money with their degree, and they don't have to stand on their feet for 12 hours and deal with really bad treatment all the time. But don't get me wrong, I think it takes a very special person to be a nurse, and I was that for a really long time, but I am currently not that right now. So I feel that I never want my patients to suffer, and I got to a space where they never did have to suffer. Literally my last day of work, I got a Daisy Award, which was awesome, because I was still really digging my job because I didn't have to do it for money. But for those people who are working as a nurse for their primary source of income, I think it's very imperative that we shift and make sure that we take care of nurses better, and not just give them ice cream on Nurses Week, actually find things that they can do so that they can decompress and have time to eat, take care of themselves, so they can take care of other people.
As you mentioned, you're no longer bedside, so I know you were just in Bali. Tell us more about that.
So I went to Bali for work. So right now,
tell us how you're pulling all of this off.
Okay.
You were gone for 8 weeks?
I was gone for, I don't know, 57 days, I counted. And it was the best experience of my life. I didn't get sick ever. Nothing happened to me, guys. Like, nobody tried to kill me. You know, I didn't get robbed. I didn't get attacked. I didn't get beaten up. It was a really peaceful situation. Okay, so I started doing travel hosting in January of 2019. And since January, I've been booked 6 times as a travel host, which is like incredible. So what that is basically that I get paid to travel. And pretty well to do that. All my accommodations get covered, and then I get paid to travel. And the reason that I was able to swing this is because the internet and social media works on niche. Like it functions on niches, and that's why EB, your account does so phenomenal. Not to mention your content is funny as shit, but it's because you have a lot of people coming to you that are coming for a specific thing. I'm a nurse, and I'm coming to laugh about nurse shit, right? So when you have a very target audience, my audience is Black women between the ages of 24 to 35 who are nurses, $60K a year and upward, who don't want to be. That's my audience, serious. So what these companies do is they bring in a shiny object to get people to sell out their trips, and I'm the shiny object for that moment. But the great thing is that I can come on these trips and teach them something and empower them with something. So I went to Bali, Indonesia to host a trip for Nurses Travel Network. We put the trip online. It sold out in 24 hours. So then we put it again. We booked another date in June, and it sold out in 12 hours. So, I'm not saying that to brag or anything like that, but it's just like I have a very specific target audience. Those, 24 to 35-year-old Black women who are nurses who have the budget to travel, but often don't have the balls to travel. They don't have they don't have the people to travel with, those kind of things.
It's almost like they need the infrastructure.
Yeah, exactly. So it's creating the right space and time, and like this company had the right intention. So I booked the trip from May, and then I booked it again in June, and I was like, why not stay? So my main goal when I got on the ground was to definitely, have a really positive trip for these women who showed up for me. So one of the things that I think, one of the reasons my business thrives well is that I work for my audience. They don't work for me, and I don't treat them like that. I never get that mixed up. My audience pays my bills. My followers pay my bills, and my supporters of women pay my bills, and they support me. So I make sure they feel welcomed, and I make sure that like I take care of them instead of vice versa, and they feel like a guest. So like my first goal was to kill my workshop, and like that because I taught a one-day workshop on building a brand in today's media. Then after that, I literally got paid to like go to elephant sanctuaries and like get massages. Like it was insane. Like it was the best job I ever had, and it just like was such a shift because I realized that I've been lied to my whole life. Like I was told that you have to work hard for money. You have African parents. They told you got to work hard for money, right? Yeah. And like I have Black American parents, and they told me I had to work hard for money. And then I realized you don't have to work hard for money, like at all. And so what I did was I immersed myself in the digital nomad culture in Indonesia. For those of you who don't know, Canggu, Bali, Indonesia is rated #1 on the places to be a digital nomad. And that means just someone who works from their laptop. That could be you. That could be, what's your name? Dennis. That could be you, Dennis. You can work, anybody who can work from their laptop would be a digital nomad. We're in this beautiful coffee house, and everybody is working from their laptop, so they could do that anywhere with good Wi-Fi and a beach and anywhere else. So that's what I did, was immerse myself amongst that culture immediately as soon as I got there.
As far as other nurses looking to kind of follow the same footsteps you're taking, is this obviously it's not something that everyone will be able to do.
Yeah.
But how do you know if like, okay, maybe I should be looking more into this. Maybe I should try to see if I can build a brand and get to the point where I could live off that instead of working bedside. Okay.
So I actually target a very specific audience as well. I do career coaching for nurses who are nurses and don't want to be anymore. So they can visit IamNurseMo.com. I can help them guide through that. But I always ask them 4 questions. Who are you? What is your gift to the world? Why is it important? Who is your audience? And what they spend their time and money on. If you can't answer those questions, then you probably should do some soul searching and figure those things out. And I think soul searching is just like really important in general. I think as nurses, we sit at our computers and we look for jobs, like what can I fit into instead of what can fit into my life. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So if you're starting to think like, what can I do? What can I fit into my life instead of how can I fit into someone else's role for me, or if you're starting to think about writing your own script, then I think it may be time for you to do that. So one of the reasons, I'll break down a few reasons that I was very successful there. So one, I'm very outgoing. So I was able to immerse myself in the culture, and like I joined a co-working space and was able to connect and meet other people who were doing a lot better at what I'm doing than me. I found out that being a travel host isn't that cool. I found out that I should be, making digital products and making $60K a month instead of making $6,000 a month off of travel gigs. I found out that I wasn't doing as much as I thought I was. So
when you say digital product, what's an example of like a digital product?
Okay, so for instance, this is the example of what happened. So I was at this kind of like TED style talk because my co-working space had that every day, and I would go every day. So this girl, they did an influencer panel, and of course I was being such a snob because these are people that were all, under the 10K mark for influencer status, and I was like, why would they have me on this panel, that kind of thing. And this girl got up there, she had 6,000 followers on Instagram, and she was making $65K a month off digital products. And I was like, wow, I need to know her. Like, so outgoing in the sense that after she spoke, I went and introduced myself to her and found out, okay, how can we work, like how can you teach me how to establish this immediately, right? You hear $60K a month, and if you got 6,000 followers and you're making $60K, what can I do with my $100K, right? So what she sells and what I plan to sell this year is very specific products that are like courses, guides, things that are downloadable like through a funnel where I can make a passive income. So that means that people can go to my website, get the things that they need from me, and they're downloadable immediately. And then that way you can be on an island making money every day. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Do you ever see yourself returning to the land of bedside?
I'm not gonna say that I'm above it or like beneath it. Or it's beneath me at all. Like I would like to not. The other day, my dad and I were talking, and he was like, you're doing so great. Like I don't see why you would have to go back to the bedside and da 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 da. And then he was like, but if all else fails, it's always there for you. And I was like, I don't want to hear that. And it's not that I don't want to go back to the bedside. So answer is no. I don't see myself doing that. It's because I have a new sense of freedom. The way I manage my day is amazing because I have choices every day. Like I can decide I'm going to work today or I'm not. I don't do this, but I could cancel all of my clients for the day and nothing would happen. They would still be my clients because it's just like, this came up, I can't do it. I can decide I'm going to work for 2 hours today, or I can decide I'm going to work for 12. I can decide I'm going to work from this place we're in, or I can decide I'm going to work from Australia. Like, it's so that freedom that I have now, knowing that freedom is going to be very, very hard for me to, walk away from that. And financially, I think you spend a lot of time establishing your groundwork, and that's where that I have to work really hard comes from. So like you spend time establishing your foundation, and then after that you're in flow, and like PayPal's letting you know that you're in flow, Venmo's letting you know you're in flow, and your emails, because the opportunities are just aligned for you. If you're like in any way a spiritual person or believe in a higher power, that like attracts like. So when you get in a space of confidence and feeling good about the work that you do, you get in a space where you charge more for it as well, because you know your worth, and things flow and opportunities flow into your life. And that's where I am now. So if I feel that ever changes, I'll have my ass back in the ICU for sure. And I'll do it with grace, and I'll make sure that I take care of people the way they deserve. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right, Mo, thank you.
Bye. See you. Give me a hug.